Madam Gandhi, may I sincerely and respectfully compliment you on a most illuminating speech, and especially for reminding us of the fact that the 20th century also belonged to India in a very special sense. In the immediately preceding session, Madam, we heard a lot of the discontents of this country's youth. This is a young country. You have a young electorate. You are conducting a vigorous campaign. They spoke of the inadequacies of our education, mass education. They spoke of corruption. They spoke of bureaucratic hurdles in the process of development. They spoke of the dominance of our politics by geriatratics. You have some of that species in your party also. They are all over the place. Now, to continue, as you said, Indian century, if you become Prime Minister of India at the end of this electoral process, in your first 100 days as Prime Minister, what are the 3 things that you will want to do to set things right, to get India going into the 21st century? Thank you.
इसमें सीधी बात बिल्कुल.
Well, first of all, if a Congress government comes to power, then one of the most important areas where we would want to work would be to enforce the rule of law without fear or favor against those who disturb social harmony and spread bigotry. 1. The second would be to revive agriculture by increasing public investment and, of course, by expanding rural credit. And also, we would be focusing single-mindedly on promoting growth of productive jobs, because our young people, as you have mentioned, amongst many of their complaints, their major one, of course, is unemployment. We have quite a detailed work plan with us on these priorities, and it will be made public. I'm talking about our manifesto. It will be made public perhaps in a few days, 3 or 4 days.
छोटी सी सीधी बात कर ली इन्होंने. Deepak, you wanted to ask a question?
I have a question about political reform. You made 2 important points. First, that if we are going to transform India, politics must be in command. And second, if we are going to achieve that, politics must attract the best and the brightest. But there are far too many barriers to entry in politics. There is no level playing field when financing of political parties is what it is, opaque, uneven. And there is no entry for the young, for the talented, who have no connections, who have no kinship in the political process, for they do not have the only access which money provides. Do you believe the time has come for us to think seriously about political reform in this domain? First, do you think we should mandate disclosure of all contributions received by political parties? Do you think we should require expenditure incurred by political parties to be made open? Do you think that there should be audited accounts of political parties that are available for public scrutiny by citizens? Do you think that there is a need to raise absurdly low limits on electoral campaign expenditure? For everyone in India knows how much it costs to run a Lok Sabha election. And last but not least, do you think there should be public funding of elections?
Basically, how to implement
Yes, I would agree with all the points that you have made. And in fact, it is the Congress party, within our party, we had set up a committee headed by Dr. Manmohan Singh precisely to look into all these areas. And the committee, of course, met 2 years ago. But I must admit that things are not sort of proceeding at the speed in which we would have wanted it to be. I think it's probably going to be a slow slow process. But I do believe that political parties should certainly disclose where they are getting funds from, and they should also have audited accounts, definitely. And one more question. You said whether the amount spent during election should be raised. I think it should. Because if it doesn't, then it gives for, again, from non-transparency and for, the sort of things which are unfortunately going on.
Chandar,
Madam, in the same context regarding the attracting the best and brightest to political parties, what is your party doing with regard to antecedents of candidates? The last time the Chief Election Commissioner followed a Supreme Court directive and mandated that all parties must have a full disclosure, your party joined the ruling party in...
No, I'm sorry, you are not quite correct here. When the Supreme Court order was passed, we were the only party who fully supported it.
I stand corrected. But as I understand it, barring keeping out convicted candidates, do you also see that are you also keeping out candidates who have charges against them, serious charges of criminal conduct, but have not yet met with conviction?
Well, if there are serious charges against them, certainly they will not be included, or they would not be given tickets for fight elections, if there are serious charges. But basically, the Supreme Court order on disclosure gives directions, and those directions the Congress party will certainly follow.
I think we have a friend from Pakistan, prominent times.
I'm Hamida Kaur from Pakistan. I would like to know, Mrs. Gandhi, that if Congress forms the next government, in what way would your your action peace process differ from that of Prime Minister Vajpayee? You did refer to the match now taking place in Karachi, where your daughter is already there. So how would you see the process continuing?
Perhaps you are not aware that the Congress party has supported the initiative taken by the Prime Minister from the very beginning. In fact, even when government was reluctant to talk, to reinitiate a dialogue with Pakistan, we all along stood firm on our belief that a dialogue ought to be initiated. And we are very happy that eventually the Prime Minister listened to us. So he has our full support in his initiative, and if the Congress party comes to power, that initiative will be taken forward.
Madhu,
I thought now
one
you
more
said
question.
four.
One more question. One more.
Madam Gandhi, you talked about transparency as far as election funds are concerned.
Yes.
The papers have made us believe, by the way, I'm Madhur Bajaj from Doon School.
Now you will get an answer.
The papers have made us believe that the Congress party is not getting enough funding from the private sector or public as much as you would desire. And if that is true, what are you going to do about it?
I may just come and ask you for some help.
And answer that. Madam, you know my brother met you last week.
You got the question right.
But more important
Yeah, very-
is, how do you think that elections should be funded? There's been a big debate about it, whether private sector, public, whatever. What do you think, how should the funding be done?
Well, certainly from the public sector, we would welcome checks, for instance. And if government, if we can also get some help from government, some government funding, that would certainly help.
I think no supplementary just please. Can I do little CD baat now? One last question from me.
No, I-
Do you think that now a country needs a coalition government? You can't do without a coalition?
Well, I think we are certainly going through a phase of coalitions, and to my mind, it's a phase which is likely to last for some time. But I am not convinced that it will last forever. And I think we'll just have to wait and see. But probably it will take quite some years for it to, for the polity to revert to perhaps just two major parties.